Part 3 of 3 Kids on a Step. So today I'm going to show you a couple of things. We're going to fix this corner here, but we're going to do it in a way that makes it look natural. We're going to keep these shadows that are behind the top and the left side, and then we're going to deal with a couple other things. Some of the things that we've done, like for instance, this part here, pretty similar to right here. We're missing a piece of the jacket lapel, but we have part of it here, so we will do that. But like I said, this is sort of more of a long-term project that's going to take a little bit of time. So, all right, so I'm going to start by selecting the clone stamp. Remember, you must have the layer that you're working on. In this case, there's only one layer selected. And remember to navigate in and out. You can use this lever, and when you're in, if you hold the space bar down, oops, except that's not the space bar, you can navigate, pull this down here. All right, so to get this corner, I'm going to take the clone stamp and remember source and paint. Source is selected when you hit the shift button or when you click on source. Okay, so I'm going to hit the shift button and I'm going to click with the crosshairs right at the top of the picture, right where the picture meets the shadow, and I'm going to do a left mouse click. It's going to remember that area, and when I bring it over here, it's going to start to paint that line going this way. So that one was a little bit off. I'm going to try it again. So I'm going to go to shift. That's better. Okay, and then I bring it back to here, and let's get it about to there. Notice that it keeps that little shadow right there. This crack right here, maybe we can neaten that up a little bit by going here, clicking shift, and kind of get rid of some of that. And I'll probably do the same thing to neaten this stuff up. Now on the left side, the shadow is much deeper over here. So from here, I'm going to take right where the shadow meets the picture, and I'm going to go to my source by hitting the shift button, and again, a left mouse click. I'm going to try to put it in the exact same place, which is pretty close, and just going to hold the left mouse button down and push up. And that's pretty close. And that's not, so if I do something I don't want to do, I can go to Edit, Undo, or I could use the shortcut Control-Z. So I'm going to do Control-Z. All right, so now I want to zoom in closer on this so I can neaten that area up a little bit. So I do that, I hit the space bar. It's funny, you have to hit the space bar twice for some reason. So if you run into that problem, just hit the space bar twice. All right, and then I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller. And I'm going to go right in here, source, put it right here, get that angle of that corner nice and sharp. There we go. Even maybe a little, nope, too much. Photoshop is not so much like writing code, it's more like playing a piano where you're constantly sort of improvising and adjusting and like that type of thing. Okay, so now we're going to take some of these and replace them over there. So I'm going to take one of the longer ones, which is right here and here. So let's take this right here. And again, I'm on the clone stamp, and I'm going to go to source by either clicking source or clicking on the shift key. So I'm going to click on the shift key here and do a mouse click. And that's going to remember this area right here. And I'm going to put it here, and notice the bullseye where it's taking the information from, and the brush on top where it's putting the information to. And as long as I have information that the bullseye is on, I can continue doing this. I might even be able to get another partial row. And right up to there. If I go any more, it's going to hit the hat. So I'm going to take this information again here, hit shift, click on that, go back to here again, and make that one look a little bit different. The important part with the clone stamp is to make things look different by not, what you don't want to do, okay, you don't want to take the same one and put it here, and then put it here, and put it here, and put it here. Then you see this repeating pattern, and you know that that's not real. So I'm going to undo those moves by either going to Edit, Undo, or just continuously hitting Control Z, Command Z, depending on what kind of keyboard you're on, whether it's PC or Mac. All right, so then let's see. Let's take this again by hitting Source, and we'll put this one up top here and sort of finish off that little corner, which kind of just looks like it just wants to fade into this. And then the last one we'll do here. Oops, got a little bit of the hat in there. That's okay, just undo it. Go to here. And looks like we can get that pretty close there. And then I'll clean up this edge after by taking some of this stuff. Oops. Taking some of this stuff and kind of just getting rid of that junk. That. Okay, let's back out a little bit and see how it looks. Not too bad. Let's get a little bit more right here. And just get that right to the top. And so it looks like that's the end. And then that looks a little bit darker here, so we'll kind of paint in a little bit of a lighter color. Same thing with here. Hopefully you recognize what I'm doing. I'm clicking, taking it from here, putting it to here, smoothing that out a little bit. Source, click, click. Okay, now let's back out again. Not bad. Okay, good. I'm going to do something similar here. I'm not going to go through the entire process. You get the idea. You know, you take from here on the clone stamp, click on source, go to where it's kind of rough, and fit together as best you can. And I'm going to go down a little bit more, try to even those up. And then we'll take some from here. See if we can't kind of bring these two together a little bit. Okay. May end up having to trim a little bit off the top to fix that. Okay, so that's that corner, which isn't bad. I'm going to zoom in on this, which is another little issue that we're having. Right here. So we can actually fix this at the same time. So for this one, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to change what's called the opacity. The opacity is the amount of transparency. Okay. So if I take it down a little bit, when I take my image from here and I paint on top of here, it's not painting at 100%. It's still a little bit see-through. Oh, actually it wasn't because it went back. Okay, so I'm going to try that again. And I have to hit return, I guess. And we're going to go to source here. But notice this time when I paint how it's not completely covering that over. And I want to do that on purpose because I don't want, notice this side is darker than that side. So I like to take some from this side and kind of blend it in on that side, but taking some from this and blending it in on that side so that it's a gradual light to dark, dark to light, depending on which side you're coming from. And so if I keep doing that, it's slightly covering that break, but it's not covering it with the very 100% opacity, which is tough because that would make it very, very choppy looking. Then I might just take a little bit of that and kind of go over it overall and kind of lighten that up a little bit in there. And I can keep going with that and go over the pen mark and keep taking it from somewhere over here, keep putting it over here, and you can see eventually that's just all going to fade away. It's going to take some time. It's good to, again, be patient when you're doing this because there's a lot of stuff to be done. But again, it's a really great skill to be able to do this. And you'll have like phone apps, Photoshop apps, image apps that will say, oh yeah, you can make anything disappear. If that anything is a perfect square or circle, or you don't care how things look after, yes, you can. To make it look half decent, you kind of have to do the old-fashioned way. All right, so I'm going to go back up to here. I want to take this. Notice I'm using a lot of clone stamp today. I'm going to mouse click here. I want to bring it here. And I want to just kind of lighten up some of this and sharpen up that edge. Kind of trying to blend it so that it doesn't jump from light to dark as much. So we'll pull that down again. Okay. And then just a little bit on the seam. And notice it's a sort of a gradual gradient from light to dark, dark to light. And then I look at that corner and I say, that's not too bad. I got to rip over here. But again, clone stamping, from here down is going to make a big difference. So let's put the opacity back up. Taking it from, let's make the brush a little bit bigger again. And, this is taking a little bit of time, but I really want you guys to get solid with using the clone stamp. All right, so I'm just going to basically take source from here, pull it down to here, and we're going to just sharpen that edge right up there. And that did a pretty good job there. It'll probably do a, oops. It'll do a pretty good job here once I define the correct source. And then same thing with the shoe. For that, I would recommend going in really tight. Except that doesn't work, okay? Before this, I had never used Pixlr before. I've always used the real version of Photoshop, and Pixlr's it's a little jumpy sometimes. So I'm going to get in here, clone stamp, small brush. Okay. And basically just do the same thing. Just keep going over. And trying to match as best you can with what you have. I think I'm going to have to even go even closer on this one. That. And then, we're going to give this a little bit of blur. And strength, turn the strength down a little bit. Brush down a little bit. And it's jumping on me again. I think the mouse doesn't like this table. So I'm going to bring the blur over here, kind of go over that, soften that up a little bit, shine it up. There we go. And we shine up that shoe a little bit, and looks pretty good. So let's see, what do we got? Yep, decent. All right, so using that, you can see the whole thing overall is starting to take shape. I'm gonna stop here. We're gonna talk about changing the color, the contrast, and all that stuff in the next one, but I think that's good for now. That'll get you getting the clone stamp for this area, clone stamp for that area, getting the edges sharp pretty much most of the way around. We'll deal with this one next time, and that should be good. Talk to you guys soon.